Okay, lessons part 2 for geometry. So we talked about angles up here, and we talked about how two rays that share an endpoint are considered angles. So you see right here, they connect at the vertex. Our next vocabulary words, right angle and acute angle. So a right angle makes exactly 90 degrees. And when you are practicing at home, if you have any paper at all, any sheets of paper, the edge of it is 90 degrees. So I would encourage you to bring your paper up to your Chromebook or your computer and use that to help you. And then an acute angle is an angle that measures less than 90 degrees. So it's going to be less than that 90-degree angle. So right there is an example of an acute angle. And lastly is an obtuse angle. An obtuse angle measures more than 90 degrees. So if you were to use your sheet of paper, if you measure it and it looks like it goes past that part, past that 90-degree angle, then that is an obtuse angle. Now, a lot of the words in our standard talks about a two-dimensional shape. So in the past, we've worked on area and perimeter, and how did we measure that? Using length and width. So you know that that's a two-dimensional shape, all of the shapes we've been using in class, because it has length and width, and that's how you're measuring it. Now, some other vocabulary words that we will see and talk about as we go on are polygons. So a polygon is a shape having 3 or more sides, and here's some examples. So if a shape has 3 or more sides, it is considered a polygon. So we already talked about a line segment and an endpoint. Now I said vertex, but we didn't talk about what that means. A vertex is a point where surfaces meet. So for example, where these two lines meet, that is a vertex. And then an endpoint is a point marking the end of a line segment. And I said a lot of times we might play Simon Says with geometry vocabulary, and they show it with a fist. So that shows that it has an endpoint. Some other vocabulary that we've gone over, or you might see, is a quadrilateral. Any polygon with 4 sides is considered a quadrilateral. And I tell my class that I am considered a mom, a daughter, a wife. I have many names. And a lot of the shapes that we deal with, they have many names too. So a shape could be a polygon and a quadrilateral at the same time. So don't let that confuse you if they have multiple names. Now, in our geometry unit, we are going to be classifying shapes, and you did that in 3rd grade. I believe you did it in 3rd grade in person, and the square was one shape that you definitely talked about. So a square is a quadrilateral, and what is a quadrilateral again? It has 4 sides. So a square has 4 equal sides and 4 right angles. The opposite sides are parallel and 4 lines of symmetry. And we haven't gone over symmetry yet, but you will hear about that in the next coming weeks during our COLA lessons or at home, depending on what you're doing. So a rectangle. A rectangle has 4 right angles. The opposite sides are parallel, just like a square, but the major difference is that opposite sides have the same length. And in a square, all sides have the same length. Now, I told my students there has been a lot of talk about trapezoids all the time because a trapezoid is a quadrilateral with 1 pair of parallel sides. So does a square have 1 pair of parallel sides? Yep. So is a square considered a trapezoid? You guessed it. Yep. So again, a trapezoid or a square can be a trapezoid if both sides are parallel. Because what did we learn about a square? We learned that a square has 2 sets of parallel lines, 90-degree angle, which we just talked about, which is a right angle, and all sides are equal. So a parallelogram is a quadrilateral with opposite sides that are parallel and opposite angles that are equal. So their opposite angles are equal. Now, let's talk about this picture. It says circle all the rays below. So what I would like you to do is talk with anyone in your house. So you might have to do this afterwards if there's no one there now, but talk and say which of these are rays and circle them. And then on a sheet of paper, with an expo if you have it, I want you to draw 2 line segments that intersect to create an acute angle. And then label the acute angle created by your segment. So what it means by label is, my name's Miss Holly. I have a name. And all of these different lines, line segments, rays have names. So that would be, for example, right here, that is line segment MN. So make sure that you label it and give it a name. And then draw 2 lines that are perpendicular. I'm going to link to videos that talk about perpendicular, parallel, and acute, obtuse, and right. And let me make sure. Here we go. I skipped one. So lastly is parallel and perpendicular. Should have been before, but I skipped it. So parallel lines are just lines that are the same distance apart and they will never touch. Perpendicular lines they intersect and they make a 90-degree angle. Now, if lines intersect, they are just cross. So lines could intersect and not be perpendicular at the same time. So I hope this was helpful. And I look forward to seeing your work, and your teachers look forward to seeing y'all turning them in through Google Classroom. And have a great day.